Recording in progress.
Hello to all my people, and if you're watching live, checking us out on YouTube, or listening on your favorite podcast provider, you are most definitely my people. Joining me tonight is a man who has wrestled all over the world. New Japan, he's done it. TNA Impact, done it. Ring of Honor, WWE, NWA, he's done it all. This man is the real Mike Bennett. Mike, thanks for coming on and chatting about some wrestling, man. How are you?
I am loving life. I'm sitting on my porch right now. It's like 80 degrees in Illinois. I have a screened-in porch, and I'm just the happiest human alive. This is my happy place. So you caught me on a good day.
Good, man. The Tennessee heat's killing us, man. 98 degrees every day, humid as hell, always going. It's an interesting life once you get south of the Mason-Dixon line in the summer.
You know, it's been humid here, but right now there's a nice cross breeze that's going in one side of my porch and the other side, and it's just, I'm in heaven. Once I start sweating, though, you might see me get a little angry.
I myself hate the heat. So let's dive right into it, man. Let's talk about William Patrick Corbin's NWA. It's not your grandfather's NWA anymore. However, it is very reminiscent of the 70s and 80s because they're very focused on the wrestling side of the business with entertainment sprinkled in. What's it like working for the new NWA, if we'll call it that?
You know, I've thoroughly enjoyed my time in NWA because it kind of mixes in everything I love about wrestling. For so long, I was so WWE centric. I started being a wrestler to be a WWE wrestler. Throughout my career, I was trying to be a WWE wrestler, and I kind of had blinders on. I kind of had tunnel vision of what I wanted to do, which I think is a gift and a curse. I think it's a gift if you have tunnel vision when you know you want to go somewhere because you'll probably get there. You'll most likely get there. The curse part of it, though, is if you have blinders on to one direction, you're going to miss all these other experiences that happen in your life that you probably should have embraced or probably should have been like, yeah, I want to go give that a shot because you can't see them. You're so tunnel vision that you can't see them. And so when I finally got released from WWE, it was kind of like those blinders went off. I would probably say a year or two before when I was still at WWE, the blinders went off. And I just saw this opening of all aspects of pro wrestling that I just never gave the thought to enjoy. And NWA is doing that. It's mixing in storylines and characters, but then also mixing in really good wrestling, really positive wrestling, really hard-hitting wrestling, old school, new school. It's just a mix, comedy, technical. It's just this array of different styles of wrestling. I remember I had a conversation with William, and he was telling me these stories that he would hear from old NWA guys about what it used to be like. And he was telling me it was just this tough guy mentality. This tough guy mentality. We're going to go in there, we're going to fight, and may the best guy win. He's like, I really want guys and girls that are just tough, that represent, like, we're going to go in there, we're going to beat the hell out of each other, and then we're going to shake hands after, or we're going to be pissed off at each other, or whatever. And I just admired that mentality. I was like, I think that idea of just let's get in there and settle it in the ring is missing from wrestling nowadays. It's so storyline driven or so spot fest intricate that it's missing this idea of, like, at the end of the day, we're still wrestlers trying to wrestle and win a match. And I think that's what NWA brings to the forefront.
So you see a lot of companies, you kind of talked about WWE. When you look at companies like that focus very highly on the entertainment, then you have the bridge of that to the NWA, which focuses on the wrestling with the entertainment. Do you think there's truly a company in 2022 that's putting the E and the W together perfectly?
I do, honestly. And I think there's actually two companies that are doing it really well. And I think it's NWA and I think it's Impact. I look around both those locker rooms, and a lot of times what you'll notice, a lot of the NWA locker room and the Impact locker room, sometimes they're interchangeable. Me and Taven are jumping over there. You know what I mean? Like, you'll see a lot of cross promotions between NWA and Impact. And I think these are the two companies that are doing it very, very well. I think if you actually take a step back now, look, I know there's a lot of wrestling out there and there's a lot of wrestling and easy access out there. But if you take the time to watch Impact or watch NWA, I think what you'll see is a lot of what WWE does really well, which is storylines, getting characters over, getting people to invest in characters. And then what you'll see is you'll also see what AEW does really well, which is really, really accentuate good wrestling, whether it's Daniel Bryan or Kenny Omega or, God, Adam Cole. The list goes on of talent over there. So I don't need to go off on who the talented wrestlers are. But what I see is what Impact and NWA is doing is taking really good storylines, because we have great creativity over there at Impact, and then taking the really good wrestling, bringing in Ring of Honor guys, bringing in New Japan guys, bringing in guys from all over and mixing that together. And I think you get the best of both worlds. And I wish people would watch more, because I think it's really, really an exciting time for both NWA and Impact.
Do you think one of the things that lends to their success in the promotions are the fact that they're so willingly to work with other promotions? I kind of hate the term forbidden door. I feel like it's made this world seem untouchable for two promotions to interact with each other. But I feel like when you look at NWA and Impact, do you think their willingness to allow other promotions to work with them are a key to what making them successful?
Yeah, I think Impact, I think the biggest thing Impact has going for it is it's kind of this landing spot for guys and girls who have been kind of forgotten from pro wrestling. You know, it's like, you used to work here, now you don't. You used to work here, now you don't. All right, where can we all get together? Because we're all super talented. We're all super passionate about wrestling. Where can we put this energy? And Impact is kind of like, hey guys, we're the land of misfit toys over here. Come join us. And we'll somehow take all this talent that other companies didn't have a use for, and we'll find a really good use for it. And that's why I wish people would tune in and watch Impact, because if you really watch what we're doing, we're taking the best of everything. We're taking guys like Jay White and saying, oh, we have the Bullet Club here, let's sprinkle you in for a little bit. Or taking some of the luchadors down in Mexico and being like, hey, we have guys from AAA or guys from CMLL, and we're going to sprinkle you in a little bit here. And then it's like, hey, not for nothing, but Frankie Kazarian from AEW is just going to hop on over here for a few shows, because he hasn't been doing much on AEW, and he freaking tears it up in Impact and has some of, like, his match with Saban from the tapings in Nashville, I think, were unbelievable.
I was at that show. It was nuts.
He came back and it lit a, like, I don't know if it lit a, he was just awesome. Like Frankie Kazarian times a million. And it's like, Impact brings that out of you. And like, I'm sitting there going, bring Frankie back, please. He lit a fire under this locker room. Like, let's do it. And I think that's what makes it great, is Scott D'Amore and all the people backstage at Impact are like, hey, we know that wrestling's all over the place right now. We're just trying to put on the best product possible. So if that means we got to bring in Jay White, if that means we got to bring in Frankie Kazarian, if that means we got to send Ace Austin over to New Japan to generate buzz that way, that's what we're going to do. And I love that aspect. Once we put egos aside and just focus on what's best for wrestling, the possibilities are freaking endless, man.
So one of my questions isn't specifically about the men's division. It is, however, about the Knockouts division in Impact. A lot of people right now, especially in the mainstream media, are saying the Knockouts division is the top premier division in women's wrestling. What is your impression of what's happening right now in that division in 2022?
Oh, I think it's the best, hands down. There's so much untapped talent there, and even tapped talent that hasn't been completely depleted. Like, there's so much talent, even the females that you've seen on there time and time again that have been on TV constantly still have so much untapped potential and talent that you haven't seen. Mix on top of that, they're throwing in newer names like Masha, and they're bringing in girls like Killer Kelly. It's this mindset of, we have a lot of really good talent, but we're going to keep stacking it up and stacking it up and stacking it up. There's a train rolling through my town right now, so if you can hear the choo-choo going, my son loves it. I apologize. But yeah, I think the Impact Knockouts division right now is really the best I think it's ever been. You have Gail Kim running it, but then you also have all this experience backstage, like Mickie James and Madison Rayne and my wife, Maria, who are constantly throwing in their little tidbits of information. And there's no one from management that's like, oh no, don't do that. They're like, yes, more, help these girls out, do what needs to be done. Because Impact really has that mindset of, we elevate everyone around us while we're elevating ourselves. And that mindset, again, I think it leads to an infinite amount of possibilities. And especially with the Knockouts division, with all that talent and all that experience, and now that they're all working together, it's awesome. It's really cool to see.
So this most recent run in Impact has also given you a chance to rekindle a old tag team with Matt Taven. You and him have a huge history. IWGP champions, Ring of Honor champions. You guys set us precedents before, and then you went off and did your thing. And now that you guys are back, what's it like to be able to work with Matt again on almost a regular daily basis, having that chemistry back?
You know, it's awesome and it's different all at the same time. When we were teaming originally, I feel like we were still trying to figure out who we were in pro wrestling, what our spot was, trying to get comfortable, still trying to impress people, still trying to fit in, still trying to stand out, all that fun stuff that you do in wrestling that drives you nuts. And, but we were doing it together because we're best friends. And we really bonded over that. And then we kind of went our separate directions. And I think it took us going in our separate directions to really figure out who we both were, what we wanted out of wrestling. And of course, the way the universe works is it brings us back together again. And we get back together again, him having accomplished everything he accomplished, Ring of Honor World Champ, me having accomplished everything I accomplished in Impact and in WWE, and come back and being like, okay, now we're the best versions of ourselves. Now let's see what this team can do. And like, we have matches sometimes where like, I'll say to Taven, I'll be like, that was a good match, but there were certain moments in there I felt like I was going through the motions. And then I'll watch clips of it again and I'll be like, holy crap. Like the stuff that we do that looks like we're just doing it in our sleep is really freaking good. And it's like, we just found that cohesiveness where I'm just like, there's no doubt in my mind that we could go out there and you could put us with any team right now and we would just have a killer match just because of where our mindset is right now. We are just so on point with each other that it's been really cool and it's been really fun to watch.
So also in Honor No More, you've had a chance to work with guys like PCO and Vincent and a lot of these guys. PCO's been in the industry for 30 years, it feels like. He's been around forever. Even at somebody at your experience level, when you work with somebody like PCO and you hear the stories and experiences somebody he has going back as far as he has, what are some of the things you take away from working with somebody who's even more experienced than you are?
You know what it is with PCO? The one thing that I take away from him, man, is passion. That dude has so much passion for the industry. And it's one thing to take it and absorb it and be inspired for the industry that you're in. But with PCO, I take it and I'm inspired at life by it because I look at this man who's in his 50s, who's done a lot, who's been accomplished, who's been to WWE. And at the age he's at and doing the things that he does, I'm just like, that's commitment. That's leading with your heart. That's saying to yourself, I love this so much that I'm going to get up and do everything I possibly can to be the best in this industry. And you know what's happened because of that? The dude has become the most over person in the entire company. This last set of tapings, we would just walk people to the stage. Let's say Vincent had a match. All Honor No More walks to the stage. The minute we hit the stage, PCO, because fans can feel when it's real. Fans can feel when there's a commitment and there's a passion. And that guy has led me to be like, I need more passion in my life. I need to lead with my heart more. I need to do things that my heart's telling me to do and go full force into whatever I'm doing, whether it's wrestling or whether it's life. And I'm so thankful for it.
So, well, we'll touch base on a little bit of your time in Connecticut. When you and Maria were there, you guys were involved in some unique stories, to say the least. Before you left, what were some of your favorites that you guys had together while you were with the Fed, so to speak?
You know what, honestly, I take away from there is I think everything we do, I think every experience that we have is meant to teach you something. And for me, when I first got released and I first got fired, my first reaction was they did everything they possibly could to keep me down, not give me opportunities. And when they did give me opportunities, they did everything they could to try to bury me. Now, when I look back on it as the whole thing was an entire learning experience. I was put in positions that I could have either objected to or I could have accepted. And for the most part, I just accepted. And what it taught me was you need to know in life what exactly your values are, what your beliefs are, and what you're willing to do. And what WWE taught me, those storylines taught me that sometimes I was like, whatever, I'll do them. Other times I was like, I really don't want to do them, but I feel like I probably should. what my time there taught me was have your values, have your beliefs, and stick to them. Stick to them. If you have a set of values and beliefs and WWE says we want you to do this, or any company says that we want you to do this, and at your core it hurts your values, it hurts your beliefs, don't do it. Say no. And it took me time and time again of being like going against my values, going against my beliefs, going against everything I stood for, and saying, yeah, I'll do it, and then not feeling good about myself afterwards. And I remember sitting on this very porch and saying to myself, what is having money worth if I'm miserable? If I'm literally going to work every day and going against what I stand for as a human, you can't buy that from me. You can't buy my happiness, and you can't purchase my happiness. And that to me, look, I know people think I have a very hate relationship with WWE. I don't. I have a very love relationship with them because they taught me everything I don't want out of life, and I can never repay them. And the only way that would ever happen is if I was just thrown into the fire, if I fell flat on my face, if I was given lousy storylines, accepting them, even though I was like, I probably shouldn't, and then coming out the other end and being like, wow, that really taught me everything I don't want in life. And that's a great lesson. And I'm so thankful that they taught me that.
I think it's really important to know your worth, and that doesn't necessarily mean a paycheck. For me personally, speaking on a personal level, as a chef for 17 years, I got to a point where I was like, cooking somebody else's food and cooking somebody else's ideas and putting somebody else's concepts on a plate. At what point is the money not worth it? And knowing my self-worth. And I feel like what you're saying in a wrestling standpoint is something that other people in the real world will get to at some point as well. At what point is the money not worth it anymore? To put the things that you hold dear? When is missing your family or missing birthdays? Like, when does the money stop being worth all of that? You know?
Yeah, and and I think you probably felt this way too. You realize that at a certain point, and I know this is cliche, but maybe I can add a different twist to it. It's money can't make you happy. The only thing money can do is lower your unhappiness, which at the end of the day doesn't make you more happy. It just makes you less unhappy. And what I was realizing is I signed this new contract with WWE. It was the most money I've ever made in my entire life. I was like, oh my God, everything's going to pay off now. All the bumps, all the bruises, all the sacrifice, everything that I pushed for is finally going to pay off because I'm going to be able to financially secure my family. And then I would come home on a Tuesday, or I'd come home on a Wednesday, and I was miserable, and I was angry towards my kids, and I was angry towards my wife, and I was irritable. And then I went, this isn't happiness. I just got everything I ever thought I wanted in a financial aspect, and I am the most miserable I've ever been. And it really clicked to me. I went, yes, this money isn't making my happiness more. It's just lowering my unhappiness. Oh, I'm sad. Okay, I'll go buy that iPhone that I couldn't buy before. Cool. That was a momentary fix. And now I'm sad again. That dopamine hit me for a second, and now I'm sad again. So it really made me take a step back and realize, like, you can have all the money in the world and try to lower your unhappiness, but it's never going to elevate your happiness.
So you've taken to your social media campaign recently with this very pro-motivational approach to life. And before air, I was kind of touching base with you. This is kind of somewhere I want to learn more about. Talk a little bit more, if you will, about what's going on with your motivational speaking stuff right now, what your plan is and your goals for what you have going on there.
Yeah, so I've been, for a long time, it really started when I was in the heart of WWE, and I just wasn't happy. And I would go on social media and I would realize that there's a lot of people on social media that aren't happy. And I took a step back and I went, wait, you're now sober for a year, 2 years. I can't remember what year I started doing the motivational speaking stuff, but I said to myself, you're now sober, you have a daughter, you have a healthy wife, you're working full time. You can take all those positive things in your life, even though you might not be fulfilled creatively at WWE, or you might not be doing what you want to do, but you can take the positive aspects of your life and show people on social media that you can use this platform for something good. And I was like, okay, I'm on television. I have a certain amount of followers. I can take my platform responsibly, or I can use it as just something to throw away. And so I said to myself, I'm going to use it responsibly. I'm going to bring a positive message of of perseverance, of resilience, of whatever it takes, and say to people, look, you can too get sober. You can too achieve your dreams. And what I realized on that journey was the biggest thing that I was doing was I was running away from failure and I was running away from pain. And it took a while of me putting out videos, meditating, self-assessing, self-awareness, painful self-awareness, to finally get to the point of like, what is my message? What am I trying to send to people? And what I realized was for so long, and it's why I became a drug addict, I pushed pain away. I ran away from pain. I ran away from failure. I ran away from discomfort. And the further I pushed that away, the more extreme the pain came, the more extreme the discomfort came, the more extreme the failure came. And what I realized on this journey was just, you need failure. It's part of life. You can't have good without the bad. You can't have a beautiful life without a tragic life. And the trick is understanding that you're going to get very high in your highs and you're going to get low in your lows, but understanding that those moments will pass. So if you're low and you're dealing with failure and you're dealing with discomfort, accept it, embrace it, take a step back and go, I don't like this. I don't want to feel this way. But the quickest way through this is to accept it and learn from it and figure out what I can improve on so I don't get to this point again. And then when you're riding that high, like when I signed my WWE contract and I was like, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be world champ, me and Roman Reigns at next WrestleMania, this is it, let's do it. Understand that that moment's going to pass too. And if you can take a step back from the high moment and say to yourself, what is this moment of bliss, of happiness? What is this moment of joy trying to teach me? You're more likely to not get too high that you completely crash down when that high wears off. And so I know I went on a tangent there, but this is what this journey has taken me on. It started as like, I just want to help others. And then it turned into this self-fulfilling journey of like, who am I? Who is Mike Bennett? And then when I figured that out, I was like, now how can I take this and try to help other people that might be running from failure, that might be running from discomfort, and tell them, no, face that head on. Face it head on. I'm telling you, because the other avenue is only going to lead to more pain, more failure, and more discomfort.
So looking at that perspective on life, when you look at your wrestling life and your real world life, can you tell me the happiest day of your wrestling life and the happiest day of your real world life?
I don't know I think if you had asked me that 5 or 6 years ago, I would have had a definitive, this is the happiest day of my wrestling life. But truthfully, the last 2 years of wrestling, I've just been consistently happy because I'm wrestling the way I want to do. I'm appreciating every single match that I can have. I go into each match with an intent and a purpose and trying to get something out of it. And I go into each match trying to elevate whoever I'm wrestling. So if I'm going on the indies and I'm wrestling someone that no one's heard of, my main concern is to have a kick-ass match so I can get myself over and I can help my opponent, which is some way I never thought about. But doing that has just brought me so much joy that I'm just like, I want to do this forever. I get more joy now out of going into the locker room and talking to the younger guys and being like, hey, don't make this mistake because I was an idiot and I made it. And then watching their matches and be like, hey, don't do that, but maybe try this. And then seeing their eyes light up, I get more enjoyment out of that. And it makes me a better wrestler and it makes me a better human. As far as the happiest days of my life, I mean, that one's more simple because you can't beat the 2 days my kids were born. It's just, I held my daughter the very first moment she came out, and that experience is like, there's a picture of me literally bawling my eyes out holding her, of just pure joy and pure happiness. And so the day I got married and then my kids being born, nothing touches that, bar none.
I think we all have that picture of that new dad picture where we're sitting there for the first time. I think all of us have that picture.
It's like the most vulnerable moment of your entire life.
You could be, no matter who you are, or how big and rugged or badass you think you are, that moment you hold your kid for the first time, you become a bubbling mess, no matter what.
100%.
All right, Mike, I close all of my interviews with 5 questions, some having to do with wrestling, some absolutely not. I'm going to start with yours. You ready?
Yeah.
What's your favorite food?
Pizza. Not even close.
Hands down, mine too. Pepperoni pizza. I've literally got a slice of pizza tattooed on my wrist.
Dude, me and Taven were just joking about it. Every loop that we're together, we finish with a pizza. It's amazing.
Love pizza. Where's your favorite vacation spot?
Who? I'm a kid at heart. Me and my wife have always gone to Universal or Disney. And we just have so much fun. And now that I have kids, it adds a whole different aspect of it. I just love the vibe of Disney. I love the vibe of Universal. I love just being down there. It's so much fun.
Do you have a favorite movie?
Right out of the gate, it's first thing that popped in my head because I love it is Die Hard, man. I could watch that no matter where I am.
Do you think Die Hard's a Christmas movie?
Oh, it's 100% a Christmas movie. No debate.
Do you have a favorite match, but as a fan? Not your favorite match of your career, but your favorite match from when you were a fan growing up watching wrestling?
You know what's funny is if you had asked me that again 5, 6, 7 years ago, it would have been some WWE match that I watched. Right now, currently, my favorite match of all time, because I think it's absolutely brilliant, Nigel McGuinness versus Bryan Danielson, the unified match in England for the Pure title and the World Championship. It's just bar none. It's everything I love about pro wrestling. It's intense. It's passionate. There's a story behind it. There's wrestling. Nigel is the funniest motherfucker in the ring sometimes. It's so good. And it's the match where Nigel bangs his head into the pole a million times and gets color. It's just, I get goosebumps now even thinking about it. And I appreciate that style of wrestling and that commitment so much. And knowing how much Nigel and Bryan have given to this business, that match is super special.
The final one, do you have a favorite venue you've wrestled in?
Oh, favorite venue. I don't want to butcher this because I've had so many favorites. You know what? Honestly, I'm just going to go with someplace that I discovered recently, which I'm sure a lot of Chicago independent fans will agree. Logan Auditorium in Logan Square, where AAW runs. I just had my first show there last month against Gnarls Garvin, and that place is electric. That place is fun to be in. And anyone that hasn't had a chance, Maria just ran her Women's Wrestling Army show there. She said the same thing. I was like, that show's going to be electric. She came home and she was like, I can't believe it. That building was awesome. I feel the same way. Get your ass to Logan Square Auditorium. It's awesome.
Nice. All right. This is my favorite part of the episode because I just get to sit back and relax. And I ask you if you want to plug your stuff, tell everybody where to find you. If you have anything coming up that you want to plug for us.
Yeah, honestly, follow me on Twitter, The Real Mike Bennett. Follow me on Instagram, Real Michael Bennett. I have a TikTok now of all my motivational. It's Be Real with Mike Bennett. Just follow me on that, guys. I watch Impact Wrestling, watch NWA. I'm really trying to get more into motivational speaking. I'm trying to do more speaking engagements. So, guys, if you know of anyone that wants to hire out, hit me up on those social media platforms. I'm very open. I'm very honest. I talk with everyone in public. I love communicating. So please just hit me up on all those apps and let's talk.
Excellent, Mike. Well, I appreciate you stopping by and chatting about some wrestling with me.
Appreciate you, dude. I'm glad we could finally make this work out.
Me too. Now, as we close another episode of Botched, and Chair Shots, I want to take a minute and thank you for listening. Remind you to go wherever you do anything on the internet. Remember to like, follow, subscribe, unsubscribe, then subscribe again. Leave a comment telling me how great I am or how terrible I sound. Either way, it helps the algorithm. It helps me find new listeners. For The Real Mike Bennett, I am The Will Gray. Thanks for stopping by and listening, my people.